Okay guys, first of all, Spadia is not just a YouTube channel. We have also digital products, physical products, which are going to help you about everything we talk about in these videos. You can find two links in the descriptions below. And now let's get back to the video you came here to actually watch.
What's up guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be discussing about finances and how to actually approach finances and why saving is a very important thing to do. And I've had a stat that more than 30% of, for example, Americans live paycheck to paycheck, which is very interesting in terms of the fact that still it's not a poverty, let's say, but it might be two scenarios that the living is really expensive and there aren't good enough jobs around. But I think that also many of the people who do that just aren't focusing on the correct things that would actually get you to have more options in your life. And I think that saving is especially helpful not just for those people but for everyone. If you are able to save as much can, that would be the best case scenario for you. And then you also need to learn how to use it, because I think especially nowadays money is thinking about finances in total. I think it's much easier to think about it in terms of actually what not to do or what not to spend money on than what to do or what to spend it on. And I think this is special because there's so many options nowadays. If someone makes a product in US and you are from Europe or vice versa, you can just get it immediately. You can get notified in a couple of seconds. It may be even a digital product on the other hand, and you will have it immediately access to it. Or if it's a physical product, it will just arrive basically in 1 week or less. So that's pretty awesome. But that also begs the question how to actually decide what to spend the money on. I will actually make an analogy of a chessboard. For those of you who know how to play chess, at least a little bit, you will know what I'm talking about, but I think most of us will actually get this. And it's very important to realize that saving money, especially over a couple of months, years, is going to give you a lot of options. And for people who have decided by their own habits to live paycheck to paycheck, it's basically like being a pawn on the chessboard. You just can't go one direction. It's just like you have to keep working at your job, because otherwise you would just go back to the streets. Do you know what I mean? Or you might not be able to pay rent or mortgage on your house if you lose your job. So you are very limited on the options of what you can do. But it's also very dangerous on the psyche of the person, because the person who has options generally tends to also make better decisions about their life, because if someone is really at their ends, at the corner, let's say, they just have to continue working in their job despite whatever happens in there. So sometimes if you are in a bad working environment for yourself, you just have to stay in there, because that's basically the only income you have and you haven't saved anything. So you can see how this actually can eat up your own life. But being able to save money for some time, for example, even for 1 to 3 months, that basically gets you further into having more freedom about what you can do. And what I mean by that is that, for example, if you are a person who is currently right now saving their money, and you can probably also feel this, especially that you kind of have more options. And I would relate this to the fact that if you really go as hard as you can, you'll basically start to feel like a queen on a chessboard, or a king who basically can move in any direction he wants. Money, it just gets you more freedom to do whatever you want if you actually have it saved up. If you actually don't like your workplace, if you would like to change your environment, if you would like to try something different, if you have some cash saved up, you can very easily on that end. And this is especially helpful that you lessen your stress. You can focus your stress system inside your body to actually focus it on what matters for you. So for example, gym, it's also basically a form of stress, similar to having stress from workplace or from not having enough money. But stress from gym is good because you are basically stressing your muscles and your mind at the same time. So that helps you a lot to actually get you tougher. But having chronic stress from work, or from perhaps not being able to pay rent at some point, that isn't helpful at all, guys. And especially a message to people who are living paycheck to paycheck, that it's especially much better to have something saved up to be able to make some moves, for example, as on a chessboard. Now, what are the things that you don't want to spend your money on? Because most likely everyone can actually do it, depending also on your background, if you are really poor, it's still helpful to make adjustments in your own habits and such. But I think especially one thing I want to focus on is that nowadays education, I would rank it the most important, but I'm just baffled by, for example, student loans. I think that's what it's called, for example, in the US, where you pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to actually get to uni, which has some, let's say, restrictions around when you pay it off. And it's, for example, many things that you can actually buy online, which are courses, for example. Usually the same authors produce similar content to the course on their blogs, for example, or YouTube. So you can basically just put your time into educating yourself. And usually I would encourage, if you want to learn a specific area, to just basically focus on one author or person, and to just basically consume every piece of content you can get from them. Even in the past, it's best to really just focus on one person who can actually teach you everything that person knows, so you actually have some consolidated knowledge. And in that case, it's pretty much free thanks to the internet, as it's basically low cost for the authors themselves to actually create those. Especially health, that you don't need to pay that much for education, but there are so many things to internet ways on how you can access that. It's the most important, so just spend your time for that. And it's also, in terms of time management, as much time as you can get into education, which actually helps you, and you're interested in, is going to help you a ton, and you don't have to fly to US to actually get it. So it's very, very easy. The other thing is nutrition, and what I will mean is, of course, by healthy nutrition, we can also define healthy as opposite of processed or sugary foods. That you will want to avoid that, because it's going to maybe lower your lifespan if you actually eat too many processed or sugary foods, but it's especially related to your psyche. And the type of foods do change how you behave and what decisions you make throughout your day and then throughout your life, and also those decisions then change your life. So it's very important to think about foods as something that literally affects you both subconsciously and consciously about what you do then on the same day or on the next few days. And you can even probably think about it as, in a way, as one analogy I would have for you guys, is that if you actually go to the gym, you feel less tempted by processed foods. When you are basically in the gym, you're stressing your body and you're improving yourself. You're pretty much improving your muscle and your mind to handle more stress. And since we inherently know that processed foods are bad for us, pretty much doesn't go together, right? To basically improve yourself and to get shit food. So this is also the reason why having proper nutrition is going to help you also with habits and decisions you will make, and it also goes vice versa. Because you probably won't spend your money on too much bullshit. You probably would be able to afford a slightly higher budget for having proper healthy foods, which would include more vegetables on that end, meat, depending on your diet, in case of like nuts and things like that, which usually are more costly compared to very low price alternatives, which could be even some fast food on that end. But I think especially thanks to not just benefits to health, but to your psyche and to how it can change your behavior, it's very, very important to focus on that. And then I would say that if you have an idea and you have money, you can actually make it much more plausible. If something good happens to you, or if some idea comes up, you can actually go ahead and implement it. I think many of us actually have a really good idea for a business of sorts, or you would like to move somewhere for a job, for example. But if you don't have money saved up, it's very hard to even get out of your current situation. You can't even leave your job. So again, it's basically a way to give yourself more options with having money saved up. But it also allows you to have better psyche thanks to nutrition, of what we just talked about a couple of seconds ago, to actually make better decisions with the more options you have of having saved that money and also spending it more wisely than ever before. Then I think that's a amazing trade-off which often isn't discussed, in my opinion, because it just allows you to make decisions, let's say, later than at the moment. And I think usually most of us agree that we get smarter as we age, especially if we are a younger person up to, let's say, 50 or 60 years old. And just basically that also allows you to make additionally much better choices into your own life. Especially what I've noticed, topics around OnlyFans as well and such, especially something you want to just no do. I'll actually say please, because it's gonna make you into a person you don't want to become. It's just gonna change your psyche when you actually get into subscription-based models for things you actually can get in real life, for example. So I think you especially want to avoid that and just basically work on yourself. So you just don't want to get shit into your feed, for example, on your phone, and just make sure to cancel, for example, many subscriptions you might have, because even things like movies nowadays you can get for free, and a lot of things are actually for free. You don't have to pay for them. What's very interesting is that many people still manage to, for example, go out to party quite often, which is also something you can basically try to more or less lessen, or even if there is excessive drinking involved, to avoid that. Usually you will see that many people who actually get older, up to 30 years plus, usually do say that drinking episodes haven't been as productive, let's say, as you can imagine. You can save up all the money from not doing those things, and just basically pile up what you can save and make it into a better use case for your future, especially. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Just a slight note on that, we might be also releasing a course for actually owning your motivation, which is going to help you to look at it in two ways: dopamine aspect, but in terms of the entire motivation about what you can do and how to approach it, and also some specific examples. So it's gonna be dropping in like next week or two, guys. So especially you can look forward to that. So thank you.